Hello and welcome to the Tickled Pink Events channel. I'm Kimberly. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you decided to join me for one of my videos, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm glad you all are here for some more cocktailing knowledge and fun. Now, as the title says for today, we are improving the Old Fashioned. Now, I love Old Fashions. It is one of my go-to cocktails, especially at home, because it requires minimal prep and ingredients, and it's really good. However, I have been doing my research. You know, we all love to do our research these days, and I learned that there was a new and improved way to make an even better Old Fashioned. Now, I'm a pretty big purist when it comes to cocktails in general. I don't like a lot of fillers and mixers and stuff. I like to keep it very simple. So when I saw this, like, oh, improved cocktail or ideal Old Fashioned, I was skeptical because I was like, come on, you know, an Old Fashioned is an Old Fashioned. Its basic components are spirits, sugar, bitter, water, and done. And I have done a video on the origins of the Old Fashioned and the original Old Fashioned, and I will link it below. But since the guys who wrote the Cocktail Codex, which is now my new, like, cocktailing Bible, told me that this is their ideal way to make a cocktail, an Old Fashioned, I decided, you know what? They know what they're talking about, so I'm going to try it. Now, the Cocktail Codex is by the same men who wrote the Death & Company cocktail book that I showed in a previous video. Both are great resources for cocktailing. This one, I will say, is more on the, like, leans towards more the professional mixologist in than it does like the home bartender, but I'm gonna scale it so that it can be accessible, their cocktail recipes for you guys at home and for me too, because there's some of the equipment that they ask to buy and I'm just not gonna do that. But it is a great resource guide, and they did have the improved Old Fashioned, so I take what they say pretty seriously, so I decided I'd give it a whirl. Now, back to an Old Fashioned. The Old Fashioned is one of the cocktail families. Did you know that cocktails come in 6 families? It's either going to be a martini, an Old Fashioned, a flip, a sidecar, a highball, a whiskey highball, or a daiquiri. So if you're drinking a cocktail, it fits in one of those 6 families. Now, what you also didn't know, a mint julep is in the Old Fashioned family, and a champagne cocktail is in the Old Fashioned family. Now, when I think Old Fashioned, I think whiskey, I think rocks glasses. I don't think mint julep something like sweet and minty or something in a flute. But the premise of an Old Fashioned truly is that the core spirit is the flavor. So all you need is one core spirit, like so for a champagne cocktail, it's champagne. For a mint julep, it's bourbon. And the core spirit is then sweetened by sugar and seasoned with bitters. So again, the champagne cocktail, the core spirit is champagne. Then it has sugar in it for sweetener and dashes of bitters. A mint julep, still core component is bourbon, but you swipe the mint for the bitters and you get the seasoning, and it's still sweetened by sugar. So that was one of those fun facts that when you're drinking a cocktail and you learn about cocktail making, you really can build a cocktail based on the family it's in. Did you know that a margarita is in the sidecar family? We'll get into that in another video, so stay tuned. But today we're just talking about Old Fashions and improving them. Now, Old Fashions, as I said, the basis of an Old Fashioned is one core spirit. So these are for people who like a boozy drink. It's pretty much a glass of booze on ice. So if you want something a little sweeter, or you like to hide the flavor of alcohol, Old Fashions aren't for you. But if you're like a purist and you just want the taste of really good, like whiskey or vodka or something like that, then an Old Fashioned's the way to go, because it's going to be enhanced by the bitters with a little sweetness, and that's all you need. So with all of that talking, I'm sure you're like, Kim, let's get to the good part. Let's make the improved cocktail. So we're going to do the new and improved or ideal Old Fashioned based on the Cocktail Codex book. Now, they also went into chapters on, like, pages and pages on the different bourbons, but the one they suggested, you know, this tiny little bottle here, is Elijah Craig's Small Batch. And the reason why is because bourbon's flavor profile can be determined by what ingredients it uses. So if it uses more corn in the ratio of the mash, it's going to be sweeter. If it uses more rye, it's going to be hotter and spicier. So what they liked about the Elijah Craig Small Batch is that it's full-bodied, it has good personality without being too much either way. And also, the great thing about Elijah Craig Small Batch is it's a affordable. So you don't have to spend like lots of money on really high-end whiskey that are $60, $70 a bottle up. You can get this, I can get this at Target. Well, not this size. This is like obviously a Costco size. But you can get it at like Target, BevMo, anywhere you buy alcohol. So it's accessible, but it's really good. And it's good quality. So they started with the Elijah Craig. So what we're going to do is take that. Like again, you don't need the world's biggest bottle. And we're going to do 2 ounces of that. And I've got it in a cocktail pitcher. Another thing you'll notice is, hold on, let me put this down. I'm stirring this. And there's a lot of questions about what do I stir, what do I shake. Common rule is this. If it's just spirits, you stir it. If it's got citrus juice or any other kind of juice or mixer, you shake it because you really want to emulsify the juice within the spirit. Now, I know, 007 is all shaken, not stirred, but really a martini should be stirred. Sue me, don't at me. It's the rules of cocktailing. So back to what I'm doing. So we're going to do another ounce. So it's 2 ounces total of the Elijah Craig. We've got that in our cocktail pitcher. Also, the key to this cocktail is the ice because it's the dilution. You do want a cocktail to be somewhat diluted because that's what smooths it out from just being a hot glass of booze. So the stirring is important, and what we pour it on, when I get there, I'll talk to you about that in a minute. So we have the 2 ounces of bourbon. Now we're going to do the Demerara sugar syrup. Now, I know I have preached on this channel over and over again, do not buy sugar syrup. It's easy to make at home. And I was all about that life. I was going to make this syrup. And I went to the Cocktail Codex book and I was like, come on, what do I need to get? Now, Demerara sugar is raw sugar. It's like the brown, really granule sugar that you can get at the store. It's accessible. But according to the guys in the Codex, they don't like cooking their sugar over heat because they have the water evaporation that happens when you boil it. And when you do that, you mess up the ratio from water to sugar because now you've got evaporated water. So they wanted me to make this syrup in a sous vide machine, which is an emulsive circulator cooking thing where you put it basically in a bag and it cooks slowly in warm water. I live in a 900 square foot condo. My kitchen's tiny, and I'm not buying a sous vide machine just to make simple syrup. So I was a little like, what am I going to do? Also, their syrup calls for Arabic gum, which makes it thicker. And I was all over like the Amazon trying to find it, and it was like pricey, and I was like, this is a lot of work for this syrup. But I was determined to make this improved cocktail. So thank you, Amazon and Google. I found Lieber & Company on Amazon, and they had a Demerara Gum Syrup. It was perfect. It's everything I needed. I knew it would be perfectly made and keep the viscosity. Oh, the reason they use this is because it is thicker and it has a richer caramely flavor that marries really well with the whiskey. Regular sugar, now if you make an old-fashioned, a regular old-fashioned, it calls for a sugar cube or granulated sugar, and the geniuses at Codex were like, it doesn't dissolve as well. And you do kind of get some sugar granules at the bottom if you've had a real old-fashioned made with real sugar, not syrup. So they're like, syrup dissolves better. It mixes easier with the cocktail. And they like this one because it really brings out the richness and the aged flavor of the whiskey. So that's why we're using this. And you can buy it online. So we need 1 teaspoon of this, which is odd. I'm not used to using my teaspoons when I make cocktails, but they said 1 teaspoon. So we got 1 teaspoon. And really that's not a lot. It's just going to be a nice light sweetener effect. So we've got that. And now come the bitters. Typically you would just use normal Angustura bitters, and this is like the seasoning for the cocktail, and it calls for 2 dashes of this. Now this is gonna, there we go. This is going to give you sort of like that anchor to the whiskey flavor, a little spice, a little heat, but it is different from this other bitters that I got. Oh, and it is brand new, so bear with me as I try to open it. This is gonna take a minute.
While you're waiting for me to get that bitters bottle open, take this time to give the video a thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button. Don't forget that notification bell. Now back to cocktails.
And we're back and the bitters are open. Sorry for the delay. However, that's what happens when, you buy it brand new. So these are fresh. And this is old-fashioned bitters, aromatic bitters. Now this is going to be just 1 dash because it's going to give the cocktail a cinnamon and clove hint, which is just going to be that extra layer of flavor, which I suspect is also why this is a more robust, flavorful Old Fashioned, because you're not just using the Angustura bitters, you're also using this Aromatic Bitters to add that cinnamon clove flavor. So just 1 dash, and with bitters, a little goes a very long way. So now we've got all of our components. See, it wasn't a lot, it doesn't take a lot, and we're going to stir it. As I was saying, the dilution is key. You want to stir not only to chill the cocktail, but you also want to stir to add a little dilution to the spirit and to marry everything, because you do want it to be a little diluted, not super watered down, but just a little bit to take the edge off. So now that we've done that, we are going to pour our cocktail into, oh, one more thing. Old Fashions have their own glassware. Now, if you know me, you know I love glassware, and I love putting things in the right glassware. Well, Old Fashions specifically are called to be served in a rocks glass. And this is a rocks glass that tends to hold 12 to 14 ounces. You want that amount because you want to put a large cube in. The large cube will then let the cocktail, when you pour it over, dilute slowly instead of watering down your drink with a bunch of small ice that's going to melt very quickly. So you want one that's 12 to 14 ounces so you can get your large cube in and pour your cocktail on top. So we've got our large cube, we've got our mixed drink, and we're pouring. And we're pouring that on over. And as you can see, it fits the cocktail perfectly with the cube. So the glassware is key. Do not serve this in a highball glass, a martini glass, any other glass. It does come in its own rock glass, and you want kind of a heavier bottom on it as well. Now, we are not done. They had very specific instructions on how to garnish this cocktail. So what we have is an orange peel, and we're going to express that, which means we're going to squeeze the oils over, and then we're going to run it around the rim of the glass. And the reason they wanted to do this is because once you run it around, the first taste when I hold this up to my mouth is going to give me a hint of orange. So we're going to drop that in. But we're not done. We also have a lemon peel, a lemon, zest garnish that we're also going to express, but we're not going to run around the rim of the glass because they don't want the overpowering sourness of the lemon to take over the sweetness and the clove cinnamon vibe going on with the orange and the bitters. So we're also going to drop that in. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have the improved, ideal Old Fashioned. Now I'm going to take a sip and let you know if it's worth the extra couple of steps or if you can keep making it the old way. Let's give it a try. It's lovely. It is really lovely, and I think even if you're not a whiskey drinker or you're someone who's like, I don't like hard alcohol like straight like that, you would enjoy it. The dilution is perfect. It's smooth. It's elegant. It is so easy drinking that like it's dangerous. I can taste the cinnamon and the clove, but the orange on the front end just like brightens up the nose. It is very good. I do think this will replace my typical Old Fashioned, and it really wasn't that much more work. It's just changing up the ingredients, and that's really the key, is like to keep tweaking the ingredients in any cocktail and to use quality. The better the quality, the better the cocktail. And I do think if you want to step up your game, give the improved Old Fashioned a try. Comment below, let me know what you think, and we will be exploring more cocktail families as I go on this year, because I think it's great that there's all these different ways to make different drinks we know and love. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll be back for my next video. Have a great one, everyone. Cheers!